always believed hard work would speak for me, but in my company, silence spoke louder than effort. I had worked at Greystone Technologies for 4 years, leading projects that made millions. Yet somehow, my name never made it into any employee celebration posts. Other people got praise for work I had done. But I told myself to stay calm. I believed my time would come. Everything changed the morning I overheard my manager, Mr. Scott, whispering anxiously in the hallway. "Hide it," he said. "If Emily sees that letter, we're finished." My heart froze. My name was Emily. I didn't move. I just listened, hiding behind the corner like a ghost. Another voice, his assistant Chloe, replied, "We already locked it in your drawer. She won't know." I felt my stomach twist. What letter were they hiding? Why did they sound so scared of me knowing? When they walked past me, they didn't even notice I stood there. They were too busy laughing at some joke about loyal people staying broke. That moment, something sharp clicked inside me. Something was wrong, very wrong. And for the first time, I felt like I wasn't just being overlooked. I was being targeted. I just didn't know why yet. But I promised myself I would find out, even if it broke every wall they tried to build around the truth. All day at work, I felt like the walls were whispering. Every keyboard click, every small laugh, every slammed printer drawer felt suspicious. I tried to act normal, but my mind was racing. Why hide a letter? What could be in it? And why did they say, "We're finished," if I saw it? At lunch, I sat alone in the cafeteria, pretending to eat while watching Mr. Scott and Chloe whisper like two people sharing a crime. Chloe kept looking at me like I was an unwanted shadow following her. My best friend at work, Daniel, sat beside me quietly. "You look like you saw a ghost," he said. "I think someone hid something from me," I whispered. "What thing?" "I don't know yet. But they're scared I'll find it." Daniel's face tightened. He always warned me that Mr. Scott didn't like how fast I was rising. He once told me, "People fear the person they can't control." That sentence kept echoing. When lunch ended, something strange happened. As I walked back to my desk, Chloe blocked my path with a fake smile. "Emily," she said, her voice sugary, "Mr. Scott wants you to focus only on minor tasks today. No big projects." Minor tasks. My chest burned. That wasn't a request. It was a demotion without the title. Right then I realized the truth. Something powerful was in that letter. And they were trying to keep me too busy, too tired to ever find it. By the next morning, curiosity had mixed with anger. I wasn't going to wait for the truth. I was going to take it. I arrived early, 2 hours before anyone else. Security knew me well, so they didn't ask questions. I walked quietly down the long hallway, the lights still waking up. My heartbeat felt louder than my footsteps. When I reached Mr. Scott's office, I hesitated. Breaking into my manager's office wasn't something a good employee did. But they weren't treating me like one anyway. I tried the door. But I remembered something. Every Friday, the cleaners opened all office doors using the same universal card. Daniel once mentioned where they kept it. 5 minutes later, I found the card inside the cleaning closet. My hands shook as I slid it across the lock. Blick. The office smelled like strong coffee and lies. I went straight to the drawer. Locked too, of course. But the keys were right there on the desk under a stack of papers. Almost too easy. When I opened the drawer, I saw it instantly. A white envelope with bold letters. Confidential. Promotion approval. Emily Turner. My throat tightened. Name. My promotion. Hidden in a drawer like trash. I opened it with trembling fingers. And what I read made my legs go weak. I wasn't just promoted. I had been selected for a major leadership role. One with a huge salary jump. They stole it from me. On purpose. My breath came out shaky as I sat in the chair, reading the letter again and again. It wasn't a small promotion. It was life-changing. The board had chosen me as senior project lead, a position only 3 people in the company held. I felt a mix of pride and heartbreak. Why would they hide something so important? Why would they steal my chance to rise? A sound suddenly snapped me out of my thoughts. Footsteps. I quickly returned everything, locked the drawer, put the key back, and left the office, closing the door just as the lights flicked on. I pretended to be checking my emails when Mr. Scott walked in later. His eyes scanned the room like he expected something to be out of place. All day, I replayed the moment in my head. The letter said it had been approved 3 weeks ago. 3 whole weeks. They let me work like a servant while they hid my success. After work, Daniel walked with me to the parking lot. Something isn't right, I finally admitted. I saw the letter. His eyes widened. What did it say? I got the promotion. Big one. But they hid it. Daniel clenched his fists. They're trying to stop you from moving higher than them. I nodded slowly, the truth sinking in. This wasn't just jealousy. This was sabotage. Now that I knew, I wasn't going to cry or beg. I was going to take back everything they tried to steal, even if they didn't see it coming. The next morning, I walked into work with a different kind of fire in my chest. I wasn't the same Emily from last week, the quiet, humble girl who believed everyone was good. Well, I was done being invisible, but I needed a plan. If I exposed them the wrong way, they might destroy the evidence or twist the story. People like Mr. Scott were experts at lies. So I spent the whole morning acting normal, finishing tasks, smiling politely, pretending I didn't know a thing. But inside, my mind was moving like a machine. At lunch, I told Daniel my plan. I need proof, I whispered. You already have the letter, he said. No, I replied firmly. I need proof they hid it. Proof they blocked it from me. Daniel sighed. That means catching them. Or recording them. He nodded. Yes. That afternoon, fate helped me. I walked past the small meeting room and heard my name again. This time through the door. She thinks she's so smart, Chloe said. If she found that letter. She didn't, Mr. Scott snapped. She's too obedient. That's why she'll never rise. Froze. Then Chloe added quietly. But what if the board asks her why she didn't respond? Scott replied. We'll say she refused it. That she wasn't ready. My heart nearly exploded. They were planning to blame me. Right then I knew what I had to do. Not just get revenge. Expose them so the whole world would see what they truly were. That night I couldn't sleep. Their voices kept replaying in my head. She'll never rise. We'll say she refused it. Those words cut deeper than anything anyone had ever said to me. I sat on my bed, staring at the ceiling, letting the anger settle into something colder. Something sharper. This wasn't just workplace drama anymore. This was character murder. Career sabotage. Planned attack. So I decided to stop reacting like a victim and start thinking like someone who knew how to fight quietly. Smartly. The next day, I slipped a small voice recorder into my pocket. Daniel had given it to me, saying, if they're bold enough to talk, they're bold enough to confess. I walked into work pretending nothing was wrong. I even greeted Chloe with a smile, which clearly confused her. She kept studying my face like she expected me to break down. I didn't. Around noon, she walked into Mr. Scott's office and forgot to fully close the door. That was my moment. I walked by slowly, the recorder running. The board will never hear the truth, Scott said. By the time they ask questions, we'll already tell them Emily rejected the promotion. My stomach tightened, but I kept walking naturally. I got the recording. Clear as day. When I reached my desk, I placed the recorder in my drawer gently, like it was the key to my freedom. Now I had evidence. I just needed the perfect moment to use it. All day, I kept expecting someone to burst out of an office and shout, "We know what you're doing!" But no one did. They were too confident, too sure of their power. And that confidence would destroy them. Later in the afternoon, the company held a small team meeting. I sat at the long table with my coworkers, pretending to take notes. Mr. Scott stood at the front with his fake leadership pose. "We have some exciting opportunities coming," he said. "But remember, growth is for those who show loyalty." His eyes landed on me. Everyone else clapped. I didn't. After the meeting, he pulled me aside. Emily, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, I need you to work late tonight. There's a new report I want finished. I knew what this was. Distraction. A way to bury me in work so I wouldn't think about promotions or questions or the truth. I can do it, I said calmly. His smile grew. Good girl. Something snapped inside me when he said that. I knew then his plan wasn't new. He had been keeping me small for a long time. When the office emptied out, I didn't work on his report. I opened the company mail system and searched for the promotion email that matched the letter. And there it was, sent to him, not me. He had deleted the copy meant for my inbox. He had erased my chance. My hands trembled, but I saved everything. Tonight, I wasn't just collecting evidence. I was building a case. By the time I left the office, the sky was dark and the streets were quiet. I felt like I had stepped into a different world, one where truths hid in shadows and lies walked around wearing suits. Daniel called me the moment I reached my car. Did you get anything else? Yes, I said. Emails. Proof the promotion was supposed to go to me. Emily, this is huge. I know. But I'm not done. When I got home, I spread everything on my desk. Printed emails, the promotion letter I had secretly photocopied, and the voice recording. Felt like preparing for war. As I looked at the documents, I realized a secret fear. What if the board didn't believe me? What if Scott twisted everything again? What if I looked like someone trying to start trouble? But then another thought came. What if they did believe me? What if everything these people built on lies finally crumbled? That thought gave me strength. I organized every piece of evidence, labeling them with dates and times. I even typed a clear timeline of all the things they had done to hide the promotion. The truth looked powerful on paper, stronger than their lies. When I finally finished, I leaned back in my chair, breathing slowly. The next step was the hardest one. I had to go to the board and face the people who had the power to break everything open. The next morning, I woke up with shaky hands but a strong heart. Today wasn't about revenge. It was about justice, about reclaiming the life they stole from me. I dressed neatly, packed my evidence into a simple folder, and walked into Greystone like someone who finally knew her worth. Daniel met me near the elevator. Are you sure you're ready? Yes, I said. If I don't do it now, they'll do it again. We took the elevator to the 10th floor, the board level. I had never been there before. The air felt different. Quiet. Important. When I reached the receptionist, she looked surprised. Can I help you? I need to speak to the board, I said. It's about a confidential matter. She hesitated. Do you have an appointment? No. But they will want to hear this. I handed her a sealed envelope containing a small summary of my evidence. Her expression changed immediately. She excused herself and walked quickly into a back office. 5 minutes later, she returned. They'll see you. My heart pounded as I walked through the large doors into a bright, quiet room. The board members sat around a long glass table, their faces serious. Emily Turner, one of them said. Your message said you have information regarding your promotion? I nodded and placed the folder on the table. Yes, I said. And I believe you need to see what your management team has been hiding. The room went silent. Then I opened the folder. And everything began. For the first few minutes, the boardroom was so silent I could hear the sound of pages turning. One board member adjusted his glasses, reading the printed emails carefully. Another replayed the voice recording twice, his face hardening each time. No one spoke, not even me. Finally, the chairwoman looked up. Emily, how long has this been happening? 3 weeks, I said quietly. But I think they've been blocking my growth for much longer. The board exchanged looks, shocked, angry, confused. The chairwoman leaned forward. Why didn't you come to us earlier? Because I didn't know, I answered. I only found out by accident. They hid everything. Another board member sighed heavily. This is extremely serious. Hiding a promotion letter. Deleting official emails. Fabricating false statements. This is sabotage. Hearing that word felt like a weight lifting off my shoulders. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't imagining things. They wronged me. This is enough evidence to start a formal investigation, the chairwoman said. But Emily, you must not speak to anyone about this yet. Not even your manager. He nodded. I won't. As I stood to leave, she added, thank you for coming forward. You did the right thing. Her words warmed something inside me. But when I stepped out of the room, my victory turned cold. 'Cause standing right outside was Mr. Scott. And the look on his face told me he knew exactly where I had been. He smiled slowly, dangerously. Emily, he said, we need to talk. My blood turned cold. How long had he been standing there? Did he hear anything? His smile didn't look friendly. It looked like someone who just found a crack in a wall he thought was solid. Where were you? He asked, blocking my path. Kept my voice calm. I was handling something important. His eyes narrowed. Important. I tried to walk past him, but he shifted again, refusing to let me through. The hallway felt too quiet, like the whole building was listening. Emily, he said softly, you're acting strange. If there's anything you want to tell me, I suggest you do it now. My heart pounded, but I forced a smile. No, Mr. Scott. Everything is normal. His expression twitched. Just a small crack, but I saw it. He didn't believe me. Good, he said at last. Because I'd hate for you to make mistakes. He tapped my shoulder lightly, but it felt more like a warning than a gesture. Then he walked away, leaving a trail of tension behind him. I hurried to the elevator before he changed his mind. When the doors closed, I finally breathed again. The board had my evidence now. The investigation would begin soon. But now Mr. Scott suspected something. This was no longer a quiet battle. This was a storm heading straight for me. And I needed to prepare before he tried to bury me again. The next few days felt like living in two worlds. On the surface, I acted like the same Emily, working quietly, finishing tasks, smiling politely. But underneath, everything had changed. The board was investigating. Mr. Scott was watching me. And the office tension grew like a rising tide. Daniel noticed it first. He's checking your desk when you're not around, he whispered. Let him, I said. He won't find anything. I kept all copies of my evidence at home, in a locked metal box under my bed. I wasn't going to leave anything for him to steal or destroy. By Wednesday, the board started calling people into private meetings. I saw Chloe walk in first, her face pale. She didn't return for almost an hour. When she did, she looked like someone who had just seen a ghost. I watched her pack her bag shakily. Are you okay? Yes. She glared at me, eyes full of blame. You did this, she hissed. Then she stormed out. My heart raced. If Chloe cracked, everything would spill out. Later that day, the board sent an email. Mandatory meeting tomorrow morning. All department staff must attend. The moment I read it, I felt the shift in the air. Something big was coming. And whatever it was going to change everything. I just didn't know if it would be the moment I rose or fell. That night, sleep refused to visit me. I lay awake thinking about the meeting. Would the board expose everything publicly? Would they fire people? Would they call my name in front of everyone? By morning, my nerves were a tight knot. But I dressed confidently, choosing a neat blue blouse and black pants. If this was going to be a battlefield, I wasn't showing up looking weak. When I got to the office, groups of co-workers gathered in quiet circles, whispering. Everyone sensed something big. At 9 a.m., the board members entered the conference hall one by one. Their faces were unreadable. Please sit, the chairwoman said. We have completed an internal review regarding a serious case of misconduct. The entire room went silent instantly. My eyes drifted to Mr. Scott. He sat stiffly, trying to act confident, but I could see the fear hidden under his fake calm. The chairwoman continued. It has come to our attention that a promotion approved for one of our employees was intentionally hidden, delayed, and sabotaged by management. Few people gasped. Chloe looked like she wanted to disappear. Mr. Scott shot her a sharp, warning look. Then the chairwoman said, "The targeted employee is Emily Turner." Every head turned toward me. My heartbeat thundered, but I didn't move. This was it. The truth was finally breaking open. And no one in that room would ever see me the same again. My breathing slowed as the board revealed what they found. For 3 weeks, the chairwoman said, Ms. Turner's promotion letter was hidden from her. Emails were deleted. False statements were planned. The room buzzed with shock. One board member added, "We also have a recording confirming management's intentional sabotage." Chloe's face broke. She covered her mouth, shaking. Mr. Scott stood up suddenly. "This is ridiculous. She's lying. She forged everything." "The evidence came from our server," the chairwoman cut in sharply. Her voice sliced through his words like a blade. "We confirmed the deleted email," another board member said. "We traced who removed it. And it was you." Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Mr. Scott's confidence crumbled right before my eyes. "That's not true," he yelled. "She's trying to replace me. She's—" "We are not interested in excuses," the chairwoman replied coldly. "We are interested in facts." Then she turned to the room. "Effective immediately, Mr. Scott and his assistant, Chloe, are suspended pending termination review." Chloe burst into tears. Mr. Scott looked like everything inside him had collapsed. I just sat quietly, keeping my expression steady. The chairwoman then faced me. "Emily Turner, please remain after the meeting. We need to speak with you privately." My co-workers looked at me with new eyes. Some shocked, some admiring, some guilty. But I stayed calm. 'Cause I knew. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning. After the meeting cleared, the board members asked me to join them in a smaller conference room. My legs felt heavy, but my heart felt strangely light. The chairwoman smiled warmly as I sat down. "Emily, we want to thank you for your courage. You handled this with maturity and honesty." "Thank you," I said softly. Another board member leaned forward. "You didn't just expose misconduct, you saved us from future legal damage. We owe you more than you know." I didn't know what to say. All I had wanted was fairness. Not revenge, not power, just what I earned. The chairwoman opened a folder. "Your promotion is reinstated immediately." A warm wave washed over me. Finally. But she wasn't done. "In addition, the board reviewed your work over the past few years. We discovered several major projects credited to others that were actually led by you." My eyes widened. I didn't expect that. "We believe your talent was underestimated and intentionally blocked." Another board member added, "So we've decided on something bigger. The leadership role you were recommended for isn't enough." I blinked. "What do you mean?" The chairwoman smiled. "Emily Turner, we want to offer you a director-level position." My mouth fell open. A director? Me? I felt tears sting my eyes. This wasn't just justice. This was transformation. But deep down I knew one thing for sure. Mr. Scott wasn't done fighting. And neither was I. Walking out of that room felt like stepping out of a storm and into clear sunlight. A director-level offer. Me. But even with that excitement, a shadow still followed me, Mr. Scott. I returned to my desk, and instantly, every eye in the department followed me. Some people smiled awkwardly. Others pretended not to stare. A few whispered my name like it had suddenly become important. Daniel rushed over. "What happened? Are you okay?" I nodded slowly. "Better than okay. They reinstated my promotion. And they offered me something higher." His eyes widened. "Higher? As in?" "Director," I whispered. Daniel actually stepped back. "Emily, that's huge. That's—" Before he could finish, a loud bang echoed across the office. Everyone flinched. Mr. Scott had slammed his office door open. He came out fast, face red, eyes burning like wildfire. Security followed behind him. "This is my department," he shouted. "You can't just remove me. You can't replace me with her." The room froze. Every heartbeat felt loud. Security placed a hand on his shoulder, but he pushed it off. His eyes locked on mine, wild, angry, defeated, desperate. "This is all your fault," he growled. "You think you've won. You think you're better than me." I didn't answer. I didn't move. I just watched him unravel. Security finally escorted him out. The moment the door closed behind him, the whole office exhaled. But inside me I knew something deeper. This wasn't just the fall of a villain. It was the rise of everything he tried to bury. The building felt strangely quiet after Mr. Scott was gone, like someone had removed a heavy weight from the air. But the silence didn't bring peace. It brought curiosity and fear. Co-workers approached me with awkward smiles, trying to act friendly. People who ignored me last week now praised my bravery and my strength. But Daniel leaned toward me and whispered, "Don't trust anyone yet. People switch sides when power changes." He was right. I needed to stay sharp. Later that afternoon, the board requested one more meeting with me. When I walked in, they handed me a detailed contract for the director position. The numbers stunned me. A huge salary jump, bonuses, benefits, and full authority over department strategies. But then something else caught my attention. "You will oversee the entire unit previously managed by Scott." Meaning, his whole department would become mine. I felt a mix of pride and nervousness. That department had been under his control for years. They feared him. Some followed him blindly. Some copied his toxic habits. Leading them wouldn't be easy, but it would be possible. As I reviewed the contract, the chairwoman said, "We're offering this because we believe you aren't just talented, you're honest." He nodded. "Thank you. I won't let you down." She smiled. "We trust you." When I left the boardroom, I paused in the hallway, letting it sink in. Me. Director. The one they tried to crush. But I wasn't celebrating yet. Because Chloe was still missing. And something told me she wasn't done either. The next morning I arrived early, wanting to ease into my new responsibilities quietly. But the moment I stepped into the lobby, security approached me. "Ms. Turner," one guard said carefully, "we need to inform you. Someone attempted to enter the building last night using a copied access card." My stomach tightened. "Who?" We couldn't confirm, but the person fled when approached. Copied card. Late at night. Running away. Two names flashed in my mind instantly. Chloe. The guard continued. "They tried accessing the 10th floor, the board's floor." Froze. Why the board's floor? Evidence. Files. Revenge. Something worse. The guard added, "Don't worry. We've increased security for your office as well." My office. The word felt surreal. Upstairs, I entered the director's office for the first time. The room was larger than I expected. Wide windows, a polished desk, quiet lighting. But what caught my eye was a folder sitting right in the center of the table. A note on top said, "For your review. Board." I opened it and felt my breath catch. Inside were records showing that Scott and Chloe had not only blocked my promotion, they had stolen credit for at least 7 projects I had led. Projects valued at millions. This wasn't jealousy. This was calculated theft. Corporate crime. Suddenly, footsteps echoed outside my door. Panic. Then the doorknob turned, and my heart leaped into my throat. The door swung open, and I nearly collapsed with relief when Daniel rushed inside. "Emily, I've been looking everywhere for you," he said, panting slightly. I pressed a hand to my chest. "You scared me. I thought." "I know," he said. "Security told me someone tried to break in last night." He nodded. "They didn't say who, but I can guess." Daniel lowered his voice. "There's more. People in the office are saying Chloe hasn't gone home since yesterday. Her phone is off." My heart dropped. "Missing." Before I could speak, he added. "And someone saw her crying in the parking lot after the meeting yesterday, talking to Scott." A chill crawled up my spine. So they met after their suspension. What were they planning? What were they afraid of? Or running from? I spread the folder open on my desk and showed Daniel the stolen project files. He stared stunned. Emily. This is bigger than sabotage. This is fraud. I know, I whispered. They worked together for years. Hiding my success wasn't all. They were building their careers on my work. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. If they're cornered now, they might do something desperate. A sudden fear hit me hard. What if they try to erase evidence? Yes. Or hurt someone who knows the truth? Before he could answer, my office phone rang. The caller ID flashed. Private number. Daniel and I exchanged a look. My hand trembled as I picked it up. Hello. A shaky voice whispered. Emily, it's Chloe. I need to see you. Alone. Please. For a moment I couldn't speak. Chloe's voice didn't sound like the confident, rude assistant I knew. She sounded scared. Broken. Where are you? Asked. I can't say over the phone, she whispered. Please. Meet me in the old parking lot behind the building. 20 minutes. Come alone. The call ended. Daniel stared at me. You're not going alone. I have to, I said. If she's scared of Scott, she won't talk with anyone else around. He shook his head. Emily, this could be a trap. What if Scott is with her? I felt fear, yes, but also something deeper. This was a chance. A missing piece. A truth only Chloe had. I'll be careful, I said. He sighed, defeated. Then at least let me stay close. I'll wait in my car across the street. If anything goes wrong, call me. He nodded. 20 minutes later I walked toward the back lot. It was quiet, with broken lights and faded parking lines. Chloe stood near an old pillar, her eyes red and swollen. When she saw me, she rushed forward. Emily, she whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Tears streamed down her face. I didn't want to hide your promotion. I only did it because Scott forced me. He said he'd fire me if I didn't help. I crossed my arms. You still did it. I know, she sobbed. But that's not why I called you. I need to tell you something before it's too late. My heart pounded. What is it? She looked over her shoulder fearfully. Scott is planning something, she whispered. Something big. Something illegal. And you're the target. The next morning I walked into the office with quiet confidence, but inside my mind was racing. Everything was moving so fast. The audit team arrived at exactly 9 a.m., carrying sealed folders and laptops. They didn't greet anyone. They didn't smile. They walked straight into the conference room like soldiers. Minutes later, Michael was called in. I stood outside pretending to check emails, but really I was watching every reflection in the glass walls. His face was pale when he entered, and even paler when he came out 10 minutes later. He walked straight to his office, shut the door, and didn't come out again. Whispers spread. Phones buzzed. People pretended to work, but every ear was tuned to whatever was happening behind those closed doors. By noon, HR sent out a memo. Mandatory staff meeting at 1 p.m. My fingers tingled. This was it. The truth was finally breaking free. At the meeting, the chairman sat at the front table. His expression stone cold. We have discovered internal breaches, he announced. Documents withheld. Funds unaccounted for. Promotion letters hidden. The room exploded with murmurs. Then he turned his eyes directly to me. Emily Morgan, please step forward. My stomach flipped, but I walked to the front. The chairman lifted a sealed envelope. This was addressed to you months ago. Never reached you. Today we correct that. I held the envelope with shaking hands. Michael looked like he was shrinking into his seat. When I opened the envelope, the words blurred for a moment because my eyes filled with tears I refused to let fall. Promotion to head of systems development. Dated 3 months earlier. 3 months. 3 months of stress, self-doubt, being sidelined, carrying workloads meant for a team, not knowing I had already earned the position. Gasps filled the room as the board revealed the rest of their findings. Michael had intercepted the letter. He emailed the board claiming I declined the offer. He reassigned my projects to his friends. He used my systems at night to create fake reports. He approved payments without authorization. The proof was all there. Screenshots, timestamps, signatures. Michael tried to stand. This is a setup. She is trying to. Enough, the chairman snapped. You are suspended pending full investigation. Security stepped forward. For the first time since I started working there, Michael looked weak. Helpless. My co-workers stared at me, not with the irritation they once showed, but with shock, guilt, maybe even admiration. After the meeting, the chairman asked me to stay. You held this company together without knowing you were supposed to lead it, he said. You showed skill beyond your role. The board will discuss what comes next. I nodded slowly, still shaken. But deep down something lit inside me. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was rising. The next week felt unreal. The audit team moved through the office like a storm, collecting files, copying drives, interviewing staff. Every day revealed a new piece of what Michael had done. Almost every piece of his success had been stolen from me. He took credit for my proposals. He blocked my system updates. He forwarded my ideas under his name. He even used my login to sign documents that approved unauthorized spending. People who never spoke to me started apologizing. Some whispered, "We didn't know." Some avoided eye contact because they knew exactly what they had done, laughing at me, blocking my work, letting Michael walk all over me. But I stayed calm. I stayed focused. I stayed smart. On Friday, the board summoned me again. I walked into the same glass room where I once felt invisible. Only this time I didn't feel small. Felt steady. The chairman spoke first. "Emily, the company owes you more than an apology." I swallowed slowly. "We want you to take temporary leadership of the systems department while we finalize decisions." Temporary leadership. Test. Chance. I accepted with a simple nod, even though my heart was racing. As I left the room, one thing was clear. I wasn't climbing anymore. I was being lifted. My first week in the temporary position was heavy but empowering. I rebuilt the workflow that Michael destroyed. I restored access, fixed reports, and created new rules that made corruption nearly impossible. People started looking at me differently. Not with pity or doubt, but with respect. One morning, while reviewing a server log, the chairman entered my office. "Emily," he said, "we have completed the investigation." I stood up slowly. He handed me a detailed file. "Michael didn't only hide your promotion. He also created a shadow account to move company funds. About $200,000 is missing." My chest tightened. "And the board believes," he continued, "that had your system upgrade been implemented, this wouldn't have happened." He looked at me with calm seriousness. "We want you to present your system and full restructuring plan at the next board meeting. Your future with this company depends on it." He nodded. "I'll be ready." And I was. For 3 days straight, I stayed late, building charts, rewriting protocols, and creating a security structure stronger than anything the company had ever seen. The night before the meeting, I stared at the city lights from my office window. Everything they stole from me was finally returning. But the biggest moment was still ahead. Tomorrow would decide everything. The boardroom felt thick with tension as I connected my laptop to the projector. This time I wasn't nervous. I wasn't shaking. I wasn't confused. I knew exactly who I was. My presentation lasted 30 minutes. I explained how my system worked, how the corruption happened, how we could prevent it forever, and how the company could grow faster under a new structure. When I finished, the room was silent. Then the chairman stood. "Emily, your work is exceptional. You saved this company." He looked around at the other board members. "I propose we appoint Emily Morgan as Director of Operations, effective today." My breath caught. Hands rose around the table, 1, 2, 3. All of them. Unanimous. My chest felt warm, almost unreal. They hid my promotion letter. They pushed me aside. They tried to dim my future. But now I was walking into the highest office on the floor. The office meant for someone who earned everything through intelligence, patience, and truth. I opened the door to my new office. Sunlight pouring in like a silent applause. Michael was gone. His power gone. His lies buried. His downfall complete. And me. I didn't just get my promotion back. I rose higher than anyone expected. I became the director they tried to hide.